Welcome back, everyone. I know it's been a bit since I uploaded. I'm trying to keep a consistent schedule. So today I thought it'd be fun if we did a Jujutsu Kaisen tier list, or I guess a ranking, well, a tier list actually, yeah, of the arcs of Jujutsu Kaisen, the story arcs. This is something I want to do for a bit now, but I want to wait for the series to actually be over. And you know, it's been over for like a month plus now, so I think I've let my thoughts about like the ending and all that marinate a bit, so I felt comfortable doing it now. So the tiers are S tier, peak fiction, A tier, great, B tier, good, C okay, and D below average or bad. Now, spoilers, I don't think any of these arcs are outright bad. If I put any in D, it's probably gonna be just like below average. So, with all that being said, let's start with Volume 0. I think Volume 0 is either okay or good. I think the movie definitely carried a lot of my enjoyment for the arc. The manga itself, which, by the way, I'm ranking this based on like the manga, because, you know, I feel counting the anime would be a bit too unfair for the arcs that don't have an anime adaptation. So I think purely going off of the manga, it's just an okay. Like, I like Yura as a character. I think, like, as a standalone little thing, it's fine. I think it's a little weird when you consider like the greater implications of the series, because obviously this was written before the main story was even really considered as a possibility. Like, this was meant to be a standalone story, so there's a lot of stuff in here that are kind of weird when you look at it with the context of the rest of the series. Gero is like, he's just like a generic mustache twirling villain. Like, people underestimate how much like hidden inventory carries his character, but we'll get to that when we talk about hidden inventory. So yeah, I think okay is fine. Fearsome is good. I think it's a really good opening to the series. It establishes like the main themes of the story really well, like Yuji's drive to find his own goal, his want to protect other people. I think it also sets the tone of the series really well, especially with like the final fight in the detention center. Well, I guess it's not a final fight, but like the Sukuna rampage in the detention center. Like when he rips out Yuji's heart and is like holding it, and he literally like kills Yuji. Like, you could tell that already that he was not gonna be like an ordinary like inner demon trope. That like he's not something that Yuji can like rely on for power at all. He is way too dangerous. And then this arc also includes like the Gojo vs Jogo fight, which is one of my favorite fights in the series. So that's a plus. So yeah, I think good is a fine placement for it. Versus Mahito, I think is great. I think versus Mahito arc is great. I mentioned the tone before. I think versus Mahito is where you really come to understand how fucked up this story gets. Mahito is, I think, is still my favorite antagonist in the series. I think he's like the perfect foil for Yuji. Also, I was one of the people that, and I still will not forgive Mappa for this, I was one of the people that got bamboozled by Junpei being in the anime opening. Like, I'm still kind of mad about that, because I watched the anime first and then read the manga. So all the while Junpei was like dying, I was like, he's gonna survive, or like later he's gonna get revived or something. Like, it was the original Gojo copium. Like, before I put all my copium into trying to find ways for Gojo to survive, that was Junpei at first. Like, it was crazy. This also introduced Nanami, who is another one of my favorite characters. So yeah, great arc. Goodwill is, I think, another great. There's a lot of character interactions here, which I really appreciate. Gege unfortunately has a thing for not writing a lot of like characters just like casually talking and interacting with each other. So the fact that we get any of this at all already like puts it really high up, because he's really good at doing it, he just doesn't do it a lot. The fights are all great. Todo is great. He's like one of the most memorable characters, even if he's not like my favorite. He's definitely like a very memorable character and a very fun character to watch. Like, yeah, that is like the word I would use to describe this arc. It's just fun. Like, it's just really fun. Like, the Hanami fight is fun. All the like fights between the students are fun. There's so many like character backstories and arcs going on, and it's just all fun. Like, this is like the closest we get to just pure, like, I'm gonna say the word again, fun in the series. Like, nothing super fucked happens. So yeah, great arc. Hidden Inventory is peak fiction. It is my favorite arc in the series. I think, first of all, even as a standalone story, it works so well, because you can see how like Gojo and Geto start out as polar opposites. Well, not polar opposites, but they start out with these like conflicting ideologies on what it means to be a sorcerer and what it means to not what it means, whether they should protect the weak or not. And then they slowly start to shift to where Geto adopts Gojo's former ideology, and Gojo essentially is forced to adopt Geto's former ideology, and they act so well as like I can't talk, but like you get what I mean. Like, their progressions in this arc are so great. Toji is also introduced in this arc. Toji, another goated character. Like, I don't think people understand how much this arc carries the writing of the rest of the series. Like I mentioned before with Geto, Volume 0 gives us next to nothing about Geto's character. He's just like a racist that wants to kill all non-sorcerers, and he has like a barely mentioned past with Satoru. But here it's all put for display, and like all of the moments of like Gojo saving people in Shibuya, or like the scene with Kenzaku where he's hit with 3 years of memories, all of that works because of Hidden Inventory. Or like Toji appearing again and like actually sacrificing himself so that he wouldn't kill his own son. All of that only works with the added context of Hidden Inventory. Like, it's such a great arc. Like, most of Gojo's character arc, Gojo is my favorite character, and most of his like character, well, not really arc, but character writing comes from here and happens here. And it's also just filled with iconic moments, like throughout Heaven and Earth, I alone am the honored one. Like, that is probably the most iconic moment, with like Idwin up there. Like, it's such a great arc. It's honestly so great. Next up, Shibuya, another peak fiction. So here's the thing. I think in a vacuum, Shibuya is better than Hidden Inventory. But I think Hidden Inventory is just way more... it just does way more for the series as a whole. So like, if you watch these two without any like idea of the rest of the series, without any knowledge of what happens in the rest of the series, I think Shibuya would be the better arc. Like, it's just a more enjoyable arc. But I think Hidden Inventory does way more to elevate the rest of the series, so which is why I have it above. But Shibuya is still amazing. It's still like, the feeling of absolute chaos that happens here. Like everyone is scrambling to try and find Gojo, because Gojo is like the pillar that is holding up the rest of Jujutsu society pretty much. The moment he is sealed, all of Japan is at stake. Like it is crazy. And obviously there's so many like amazing and iconic fights here. Like just off the top of my head, Yuji versus Mahito, Sukuna versus Mahoraga, Sukuna versus Zogo, the Dagon fight, Gojo in the train station. There's just so much crazy shit that happens here. It is amazing. There's so many iconic moments. I know some people really don't like the writing of Shibuya because like it changes so much of the series, and I understand that. Like Shibuya is like the point of no return for the series. Like all of the like fun, like before Shibuya it was like half fun, half really dark sorcerer stuff, but you still had all of this like ensemble cast that were interacting a bunch. After Shibuya, a lot of characters are either dead or out of the story. It definitely like was a very drastic change of pace, but I think it's really good. Like it is just amazing. So, Itadori extermination. So this is like the basically everything that happens in Shibuya, but before the Zenin massacre. Not in Shibuya, after Shibuya, but before the Zenin massacre. So like the Naoya's introduction, Yuta versus Yuji. I think it's fine. It's okay. Like it's not an amazing arc. Oh wait, I completely forgot about Origin of Obedience, like the arc between Goodwill and Hidden Inventory, the like Toso's brothers arc. It's been a while since I even like watched or read that. It's good. It's pretty good. Megumi like unlocking his domain expansion is like the only thing I really remember. But like I think like it's the only like really standout moment. But I think it's fine. Like it's a classic little adventure. Like not too game breaking. I think it would be like B tier. Okay, yeah, there we go. So B tier for Origin of Obedience. I'm so dumb. So back to Itadori extermination. I think the Yuta fight is good. Like I really like the like contrast between like basically a shonen protagonist that has finished, that is in his end game, and like has grown to like his maximum potential basically, versus shonen protagonist that is like halfway through like his story. Like I kind of like that like general vibe that the fight gives, and it's like a really well choreographed and well done fight. We also get introduced to Naoya here, who is like, I don't know, like I genuinely don't know if I like Naoya. Like obviously I don't like him as a person, he's a horrible person. But like as a character, like is he a good villain? I'm still not very sure. Which transitions us very well into the Zenin massacre. Perfect preparation, actually, that's what it's called. So I'm gonna leave this here for a bit. Let's talk about the easier part first. The Hakari portion of this arc is, I think, pretty fun. This is like the only time Hakari has felt like a genuinely like important person. Like he just doesn't really do anything. Like he fights Kasimo and then just like fights Tsurume off screen for like 20 chapters. Like his character doesn't go anywhere, but like his introduction is really good. Like you feel the hype. And also Yuji is great as always. Like him like standing after getting beaten to a pulp by Hakari, like literally scaring the bricks off of him. Like it's great. So the Zenin massacre portion, I have a lot of thoughts. Like I think it's really it's very weirdly handled because, like, first of all, Maki, like, she kills everyone, so you have to, like, go in with the pretext that every single member of the Zenin clan is like a horrible misogynist like Naoya, or else this feels like terrible because Maki just slaughtered like 200 people, and like we haven't spent enough time with the clan to know if that's the case or not. Like, it also just, like, again brushes everything aside. Like, the clan, this is like when the, like, subplot of, like, clans, or I guess the idea, because it was never really like a major plot point anyway, the idea of, like, clans in the Jujutsu Kaisen world died. Like, they get no exploration beyond this. Like, the Kamo clan, basically non-existent. Like, we see one member, I'm pretty sure, in like a flashback from Kamo later. The Gojo clan is like straight up doesn't exist. Like, we never see those guys. I will say I like Maki's character. I know a lot of people really dislike Maki after her, like, toadzification, I guess. I like it. I could honestly probably make a whole video about Maki. I don't know, man. It feels really cheap to just, like, literally kill all of them off with barely any, like, exploration. And another thing is, nobody ever brings it up. Like, Maki committed, like, so many crimes. Like, she literally killed an entire clan, and nobody gives a shit. Like, you would think Itadori, Mr. I want to save people, like, you would think someone would bring it up, but it's never brought up again until, like, Maki appears in the Culling games, and even then it's not brought up ever. Naoya just shows up and he gets killed again. I really don't like how that was handled, actually. This is our first D tier. I do not like how Gege handled the Zenin clan. Like, it feels so inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's I don't know. I really do. The only thing, like, it is still below average because, again, I like the Hakari person, and I like Maki's character, but, like, I just don't like how this was handled at all. Culling games. Oh god. People are gonna get really mad at me for this, but I don't know how unpopular of an opinion this is. But I don't like the Culling games. I like the individual fights, like Higuruma vs Hyuji, Retsu vs Megumi, the Sendai fight, and Hakari vs Kasimo. Maki vs Naoya was, like, whatever. It was, like, really weirdly written as well. But, like, as individual fights are fine, but, like, that connective tissue is missing. Like, Shibuya was great, not just because it had so many, like, great fights, but because it was all tied together really well. Like, there was a sense of cohesion, there was a clear goal of what the good guys needed to do, and there was also just, like, this general sense of, like, chaos. That's another thing. Culling games is really bad at explaining the stakes, I feel. Like, Kenzaku is gonna do some weird mumbo-jumbo with the barriers, and he's gonna merge Tengen, but to do that he first needs to capture Tengen, and he also needs to build up a lot of cursed energy from all the players, and we also need to save Tsubuki, Megumi's sister, who never even, like, talks or anything, by the way. She's, like, the most known character ever. Like, she only appears in flashbacks, pretty much. Like, in Shibuya you had the clear goal: unseal Gojo so that he can fix this mess. But here, it's unseal Gojo and like stop whatever the fuck Kenzaku is doing, which I still don't really understand. Like I kind of get it, but I also feel like I don't really get it. Like his whole convoluted plan with like the barriers and the calling games and cursed energy and all of that. Like I get he wants to like make the merger, but I don't understand how like practically it happens. Like that connective tissue is just missing. Like it really just becomes sorcery fight. Like I also feel like another thing is like in Shibuya, most of the characters were already like well established. Like you had a general idea of who everyone was going in, except for like Kenzaku, but Kenzaku doesn't really fight much in Shibuya. But in the calling games, it's like half complete randoms that you need to, that Gege needs to like find time to like make you care about them at all. Like, and like the only like really well written character I feel from the calling games is Hikaruma. Like everyone else is just kind of whatever, like Kasimo, Bum, Ishigori, never really cared about Himuro. Like she's still alive and she did nothing when like fucking Sukuna was rampaging. Like it's such a weird arc. I don't know. I really just don't like it much. I don't think it's outright bad again, because like the fights are actually pretty good, but it's just like it just doesn't have like that magic, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it. And finally, the Shinjuku showdown. Where the fuck do I put this? I genuinely do not know. I actually don't know. Okay, so man, I'm gonna leave this here for a bit. Man, this is so weird arc to rank. Because like, okay, I've read it, aside from like it coming out weekly, I've read it like binge read it pretty much like twice. And those times were significantly more enjoyable than reading it weekly. I feel a lot of the like negative feelings towards this arc come from the fact that we pretty much had to wait for weekly chapters. And also like all the situations with the leakers and everything, like especially towards the end, because admittedly I do read leaks. Like, sorry. But anyways, as an arc, it's like, okay, first of all, Gojo vs Sukuna. I made a video about it when it ended, or I guess like a month after it ended. Yeah, it was a month after it ended because I did not have the motivation to make stuff back then. I called it almost perfect. Then I really dunked on chapter 236. And admittedly, I kind of have warmed up to it in the last year or so. Like, I still think a lot of the decisions, like especially the off-screen, like the thing that I will never not dislike is the off-screen, God's off-screen death. Like, at least give us a hint that it's gonna happen. Like, even reading it, like, it's actually more jarring reading it all in one go, because you switch from Gojo has won to Gojo in the afterlife immediately. There is, like, it really feels like there is a chapter missing. But I could honestly make another video on the Gojo fight entirely, Gojo vs Sukuna, because I feel I have so much more to talk about that fight than I did in that video. But it's still a really great fight. Like, it is legitimately pretty amazing. Probably top 3 in the whole series. Aside from the Gojo fight, the rest of the showdown is like very hit or miss, in my opinion. I think one thing that annoyed me was, especially reading it as a binge, that JJ would do these things at the end of like its chapter, where it's like a cliffhanger, like, wow, is Sukuna actually going to lose? Like, Itadori like is about to like stab him with the executioner sword. You turn to the next chapter and it literally bounces off of him, and it was done to like build up hype over the week when the chapters were releasing weekly, but reading it like in one go, it just feels really jarring. Like, I when I made my video on the ending, I tried to be really positive because I did legitimately really like the scene of Sukuna and Mahito. I still do. It's amazing. It's a great scene. But there is so much more that could have been done. Like, spitballing. Heian era flashback. Give us a Heian era flashback, please, Gege. You should have given it. It would have solved so many issues. I swear to God, it would have made Sukuna's character go from like an A minus to an S tier immediately. Like, genuinely. I do not know where to rank this. I will say I really love Yuji's character progression. Like, Yuji is like the one thing when the ending was coming out, or like when the final chapters were coming out, or like even before that a little, like I was like, I don't care about anything else anymore. Just give Yuji a good character arc, a good conclusion to his character, and he did. I really like that Yuji got to live like a happy life in the end. I like that he let go of his cog mentality. 265 is still 265 is still my favorite chapter in the series. But there is so much stinky stuff here. I will say another thing is, there's so much to talk about this arc. I will say another thing is, I really like, it has the same general like vibe of Shibuya. Well, I guess that's not entirely true, but it has this vibe of like, the good guys are doing literally everything in their power to win. Like, there's this constant feeling of desperation, like trying their absolute best to like stop Sukuna. I genuinely don't. I am gonna put this in A tier, just so I don't piss people off, because there's a lot of people that really like this arc. There's a lot of people that really hate this arc. Actually, I don't know, man. I genuinely do not know where to put this, because like my gut instinct is telling me it's like a lower tier, but then I think of all like the hype moments and like Yuji's character and all that, and it like starts to feel more like an A tier. I don't fucking know, man. This is such a weird arc. You know what? I'm leaving it at B. I genuinely do not know where to put this. Tell me, that's about it. Tell me where you would put it. I really want to see people's opinion on this arc, and like the rest of the arcs obviously, but especially Shinjuku. Tell me in the comments below. Remember to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.